Hello, are we live? Welcome. I need to see, I'm doing something new. You all recommended that I do OBS. And that's what I'm doing. I hope it's working. 1 minute. My daughter gave me a tutorial. And, oh wow, wait a minute. She gave me a tutorial. And I am using this for the first time. I hope it's working. Oh gosh, wait a minute. Do you all hear me? My daughter gave me a tutorial. And okay. Let me know in the chatmosphere. I had to go on and look in the chat. Can you hear me and see me? Because I'm using OBS. I'm saying goodbye to StreamYard. 6 times 5. Karen, you're saying 6 times 5? What is that one? What does that one mean? Oh my goodness. Sound is great. Is it even better than StreamYard? I told you I was going to get rid of them. And I did. 6 times 5. You said it too, Molly. Well, thank you for joining. 5 times 5. Okay. This is great. All right. Look, I will be watching on another channel until I figure it out, okay? So, I won't be... It's great on Phyllis's end. Okay, good. Good. Okay, wonderful. And I'll check in on the chat. I need another tutorial on how to get the live stream chatmosphere here in OBS. My daughter told me how to do it. I have Discord now. So my Discord... I think she said you attach the Discord with the OBS. So I'm still learning. It's great, Karen. Awesome. Look at that. We were able to get out of the StreamYard. And hopefully it'll be good, the reception. We won't have all of that other stuff going on. Okay. So... I want to talk about a story that you might be familiar with. It is a story about a woman named Korryn Gaines. Let me know if you've heard of her. So Karen is saying that the sound is really good. Really? Look at that. All it took was just... You know, when you get enough, you say enough is enough. I was paying for that service. It was not good when I paid for it. When I used the free one, still wasn't good. So now I'm on OBS, which is open source. If anybody wants to know about it, OBS. I want to thank DeWolf. If DeWolf joins us, DeWolf mentioned OBS, as well as Pops. Thank you, Pops. Exactly. So, moving on to what I want to talk about, Korryn Gaines. Now, I won't share the screen right now because I don't want to mess things up, okay? I have to learn the sharing the screen part. So I'll get that together. Just give me some time, but thank you for being patient. Okay. Now, a lot of us have been looking into the issue of becoming a sovereign citizen. You all may have already made steps towards this. I don't know. You don't have to tell me in the chatmosphere. If you have, if you are kind of out with it, you can do so, please, if you want to share any wisdom about it. So, a lot of us are just not aware of what this sovereign citizenship really entails. We've seen stories here and there and heard some people's channels used to maybe focus on that, like maybe that is the niche, but it's a lot of good information on alternative channels. I found some things here on YouTube, so you can find things still on the regular channels. Now, there is a movement, excuse me, a movement that is called the Sovereign Citizenship Movement. Now, Korryn Gaines, she was thought to be someone in this movement. Let me kick her wiki. Let me just see what her wiki would say if we were just starting out to see. All right. So you remember seeing my thumbnail. That would be the woman that I'll be talking about. It's weird how when I want to look for her, just her name in the... Bear with me. When I look up her name, they don't just give me her name. It's shooting of Korryn Gaines. So that's different. She was born August 2000. Oh no, this happened August 1st, 2016. So if you think back to that time period, it was a lot going on, right? A lot. I can recall just the feeling of the nation. It was just, that's when a lot was just bubbling. Okay. The shooting of Korryn Gaines, and I will get to the connection and talk about the sovereign citizens stuff. So let me just read this. Occurred on August 1st, 2016 in Randallstown, Maryland, near Baltimore, resulting in the death of Gaines. She was 23 years old, and her son was also shot in this incident. Her son survived. According to Baltimore County Police Department officers, they sought to serve Gaines a warrant in relation to an earlier traffic violation. So, let's see. I'm going to check in to see how you're... Thank you. I'll check in with the chat. Yes, exactly. Okay, thank you all. I see you coming in. Okay. So... Okay, so the Baltimore County Police Department officers sought to serve Korryn Gaines a warrant. So this was earlier traffic violation. She had refused to vacate her vehicle or show her driver's license and resisted arrest. So I know a lot of people will say right there, she made it hard for herself right there, refusing to show her driver's license. But then that goes along with, if you didn't know about the sovereign citizenship thing, it would just look like she's just not complying. But there's a backstory to this, possibly. Okay, so immediately after the first officer entered her home to serve the warrant, Gaines pointed a shotgun at him, prompting him to withdraw without shots being fired. The Baltimore County SWAT team responded and a standoff began. She recorded and live streamed to Facebook, where Gaines' friends told her to continue on. So when I read this now, the way that we question narratives and we're able to see things differently, there are a lot of red flags going off just reading this. I don't know. I've been wanting to deal with this story. I just didn't know how I would see it now. But it's really clear, and I'm glad to circle back and just look at this right now. So she's live streaming. I can't imagine watching a live stream like that to Facebook. Her friends they're egging her on. They're saying to continue on. She is seen to have told her son that the police are coming to unalive us. I know I haven't been using all the coded language. It's so ridiculous, but I try. So she's telling her son, upon her refusal to let them in, police got a key from the rental office, but found the chain lock blocked their entry. An officer then kicked in the door. Police say Gaines pointed a pow-pow at the officer, telling him to leave. Upon police request, Facebook deactivated Gaines' Facebook and Instagram accounts. So this was police requested. Okay. Leading to criticism of the company's involvement in the incident. Okay. So in the day we're living in right now, where we have Elon Musk exposing things about Twitter, I'm thinking this right here might come up again. It seems to happen that way when a lot of us are thinking about a certain thing. Other people are as well. And it's time to circle back. So I didn't know that piece of it. Let me see if you all knew what you think about big tech involvement. Let's see. Hey, Herschel, welcome. Hey, Alan, welcome. Christine, Kathy, this is great. Thank you for coming up. Joseph's here. Whoa, Anne, Molly, Moose, hello. Linda, hi, Linda, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Karen, Jamie, Phyllis. Did I say hi to you, Phyllis? Awesome. This is great. Okay. Karen says yes, she was trying to reach out to family and friends, and they shut down her account. So she could not have any verbal contact, really. Let me know in the chat if you're hearing an echo. But you said the sound is good. There's no echo happening? Let me know. I'll kind of wait. Just give me a little sign if an echo. Echo, echo, echo. Sounds good, Anne. Thank you. I have to check in. I don't want to just ramble and not pay attention to the chat since I'm doing it this way. Okay. We're going to learn the OBS. It's fabulous so far, right? Okay. So, big check involvement. Didn't expect that. Now, it's a weird way to say, now that I'm looking at this again, that Facebook and Instagram were criticized for their involvement. That's how it reads in the incident. That's weird. I'm just going to put that in the back of my mind for a minute. Okay, in 2018, a jury awarded the Gaines family $38 million in damages after finding that the first shot fired by Royce Ruby. Wait a minute. Royce Ruby. Interesting. Ruby. I don't know. I've just got my tinfoil hat on. For unaliving Korryn was not reasonable. This Royce Ruby was not reasonable and violated their civil rights. Now, let's stop on that a minute. If Korryn had reclassified herself as a sovereign citizen, do sovereign citizens have, do they call it civil rights? Let me know. Is it civil rights? I don't know. Just the term, if you're sovereign, is it civil? Okay. Just questions. And that's the kind of stuff I want to study. Okay. The verdict was overturned in February 2019. That's why this case is important, everyone. This just happened. This is very, very fresh in our history. And it's kind of not as big as those other, like, when you think about Sandra Bland, of course, George Floyd, or Orlando Castile, and all of the ones that we saw on the Trayvon. A lot of these have a very similar pattern. So, okay. I'm just seeing some connections like already I didn't expect to see. Okay, so bear with me. So it says the verdict was overturned in February 2019 by Judge Mickey Norman, who ruled that physical evidence suggested Gaines was raising her weapon when shot, thus posing a threat to Ruby and his team. Judge Norman described Ruby's actions as objectively reasonable. In 2020, an appeal court reinstated the $38 million award. So, the jury in 2018 awarded Korryn's family $38 million in damages But that verdict was overturned when it was evidence of her raising her weapon. But a judge described the actions of Ruby as objectively reasonable. But in 2020, an appeal court reinstated this award money to the family. Okay. Korryn Shandon Gaines was a 23-year-old woman from Randallstown, Maryland, who was employed as a hairstylist. Her father, Ryan Gaines, had worked as a police dispatcher. I didn't know that. So her father is working as a police dispatcher. Let me check in with you all. Hey there, Courtney. Welcome, Courtney. Yeah, right, Anne? Jack Ruby is what I thought. Interesting, right? Let's see. Crystal clear. Thank you, Alan. So, yeah, this is really odd, this story. So the father, working as a police dispatcher, and according to depositions of Gaines's family, in a 2012 civil suit, her mother, Rhonda Dormius, age 49, is a registered nurse. She also has a 32-year-old sister and a 26-year-old brother. Gaines was wanted on a bench warrant for failing to appear in court on charges related to previous cases of disorderly conduct and resisting arrest following a March 10 traffic stop and other traffic offenses. Do you hear this, everybody? What are you hearing? I'm just having all kinds of red alarms going off right now. This woman was being stopped. These are traffic stops. She's not selling drugs or like trafficking people. She's getting stopped for traffic offenses. What does that sound like to you? Because I have questions. Okay, let me go on with this narrative. Okay. According to Baltimore County Police, are these, 10 or March 10 traffic stop and other traffic offenses. Gaines was pulled over by a police officer for driving without a license plate. I'll repeat that. Gaines was pulled over by a police officer for driving without a license plate. Not driving drunk, but just driving without a license plate. Yep. Okay. After the incident, police reported that Gaines, though not actively affiliated with any specific anti-government group, identified and behaved as a free person. I can't make this up. This narrative is all kinds of problematic. Okay. I got to read it again. After the incident, police reported that Korryn Gaines, though not actively affiliated with any specific anti-government group, identified and behaved as a free person who does not recognize governmental authority. Alrighty. Gaines's use of an irregular homemade license plate, her telling to the officers that she didn't follow their laws, and the content of her social media posts indicate that she may have identified with the sovereign citizen movement. Sovereign citizen ideology is rooted in a pseudo-legal conspiracy theory, implying that government authority is illegitimate and that laws no longer apply to people once they have proclaimed themselves free of legal constraints. March incident. According to police reports, Gaines was stopped for a traffic violation for having a piece of cardboard with writing on it in place of a license plate. The cardboard plate read, "Any government official who compromises this pursuit of happiness and right to travel will be held criminally responsible and fined, as this is a natural right and freedom." Gaines was pulled over for invalid license plates, which she contends was valid under constitutional law. She did not have the car registered in the state of Maryland, and a citation from the police officers was in order, along with repossession of the vehicle. To take her property based on her not having a license plate. Okay. Upon being stopped, the police removed her keys from the vehicle as to stop her from driving off, since the officer deemed her non-compliant with police. The officers gave her the citation, ordered her to exit her vehicle, and informing her that they would be impounding it as it had no license and was no longer registered in the state of Maryland. A subsequent verbal conflict ensued. She replied to the officer, "You're not going to kidnap me." After the officers ordered her to get out of the vehicle, she told them, "You will have to unalive her." At that point, she began holding her child. Baltimore County Police Department officers arrived at Gaines's apartment at Carriage Hill Apartments on Sulky Court to serve her a warrant. Gaines was in the apartment with her 5-year-old son. And according to a police statement, armed herself with a Mossberg Pow Pow. A standoff between Gaines and police ensued. This is a 23-year-old woman with a 5-year-old child, everybody. I gotta check in with the chat. I gotta stop right here. This narrative is so wild, okay? What are you all thinking in the chat? This is, I have to stop and process just what I didn't know about this narrative. Thank you, Karen. Yes, let's get the like button. If you like what you're hearing so far, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe and share. Okay, so yeah, according to their legalese laws, Karen's saying. Hey, Sean. Sean, how you doing? Do you see, Sean, I'm on OBS. I changed. I flew out of the StreamYard. Unfortunately, let's see. What are you saying, Sean? Which is why we have to know our rights and educate them if need be. Okay. Jamie, fortunately, it's their job to know you're right, but they don't. Know your rights. And stay calm and fight your case in court, Sean says. Yeah. Yeah, so I see a lot here. I'm so glad to cover this. Okay. Let's see. Police say that after several hours of standoff, Gaines threatened officers with a pow pow. One police officer fired a shot and Gaines fired back with buckshot. Officers responded with 3 shots hitting Gaines. Listen, please tell me if you see something, say something. If you hear something, say something. This narrative is way off. How come I didn't pick up on this before? I knew something was wrong. I was too distracted at that time. Too much going on. Yeah, I missed a lot about this narrative. Okay. Gaines's 5-year-old son, Cody, something about that K name, isn't it? It's just interesting. Cody, with a K, was shot by police in the crossfire. Cody's arm was struck by bullets and suffered an elbow injury and bullet fragments in his face. It's a 5-year-old. Gaines's boyfriend, Korryn, with a K. Okay, do I need to go grab the tinfoil turban? I should have had it already. Her son is Cody with a K. Her boyfriend is Korryn with a K. Okay. Kareem. Oh, wait, he's got 2 Ks. Her boyfriend, Kareem Kean, with a K. So he's a KK. KK. Okay. Courtney. Wait a minute. Kareem Kean Courtney, age 39, who was living with Gaines. Okay. Her boyfriend was living there. He was able to leave the apartment with Gaines's 1-year-old daughter, upon which he was briefly detained by police before being released. Guys, can you tell me if you find anything odd with that? Her boyfriend was a live-in boyfriend, who I'm assuming is the father of this 1-year-old child and possibly the 5-year-old child. But I don't know. I'm just thinking. He left the apartment with the 1-year-old, which is good. I can see that trying to, I don't know. I mean, you never know what, you know, somebody would do in a moment like this, but I don't know at what point he left. Had everything happened already? I don't know. Tell me what you think. The shooting was not recorded as officers were not wearing police body cams. I didn't see that coming. Did you? Initially, police reported they were unsure if that was the case, as their body cam program had recently begun. However, portions of the standoff were recorded by Gaines and posted to social media. Police later stated that while there was no police footage of inside the apartment, some officers assigned to support roles outside were wearing body cameras. Let's go to the chat. I want to see. What are you saying? What are you thinking? Karen says, Baltimore is a state that they far more problems than, the heroin fentanyl scene, been crazy for years. Yeah, I know. They're going to take her, for a traffic violation for plates. Exactly. I see. Right. Exactly. Baltimore with all the problems. I mean, it's like a sister city to Philadelphia. Right? I mean, you could take Baltimore Avenue in Philadelphia and go straight to Baltimore. That's how it used to be. You could take Baltimore Avenue. So, yeah. Jamie says SWAT has a policy to negotiate. In 5 hours, I'm sure they could have had a peaceful end. Good point, Jamie. Linda's asking, I wonder if there was something going on with the mother. Something is hidden in this. Yeah, it definitely is. It's something it's so many things now I'm seeing. Okay, so filming and social media. According to news reports, during the standoff with police, Gaines posted videos on Facebook and Instagram during the incident. The videos appear to show Gaines talking with police in the doorway to her apartment and to her son. In one clip, she asks her son what the police are trying to do. He replies, "They trying to unalive us." She then asks, "Do you want to go out there?" "No," the boy replies. She then asks, What you going to do?" He appears confused and stays silent. 5-year-old boy. Gaines says there is no wrong answer. Police contacted Facebook via the company's law enforcement portal. Maybe you guys could help me with my main channel. I didn't know you had a portal. Help a girl out, please. Okay, so they requested the account be taken offline. So this is, they did this right away. I don't know how that all sounds. If she is using her own social media account to show what's going on in her life, this is her incident. Why could she not document it like you document anything that's going on in your life on social media? So that's weird that they would want to shut her down from her free speech. Okay, so they requested that she be taken offline. According to a police spokesperson, the account had been suspended but not deleted, adding that the video would be used as evidence. This was the first instance where Baltimore County Police requested Facebook to deactivate an account in such a situation. In a statement following the incident, Baltimore County Police reported that they asked Facebook to suspend Gaines' Facebook and Instagram accounts during the standoff because the comments made by others to her video posts encouraging her to not comply with orders from officers. Facebook complied with the emergency request. In early November, a new video was released from the incident showing Gaines talking into the camera, expressing her exhaustion but concurrent refusal to back down from arriving officers. Quote, "I'm at peace. I'm in my home. I ain't trying to hurt nobody. They been quiet a while, so they plotting to come in here and disturb the peace. I am not a criminal." So that's what she is saying into the camera. Okay. So there's an article in 1 minute. It's Revolt, but I want to read it and just to see what their narrative would be about this. So let's see. Sean saying they fired at her first. Yeah, disgusting, right, Linda? Karen is saying, had a portal, if they were in the right, why did they have her social media cut down? Yeah, her life cut off. Wouldn't they want that for evidence if they were doing the right thing? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's something really, really weird here. Okay, let me just read this article from Revolt. It's from 2016. And again, I want to go back and look at what was happening in 2016. We know that that was when, of course, Obama, right? Wait, Obama was leaving. Yeah. Obama was just leaving office. So a lot had happened during the 8 years, like all of that, like police stuff. And then we had, yeah. Okay. Okay. It's titled Sovereign Law Made Cliven Bundy a Patriot, but Korryn Gaines crazy. Notice they're using that term crazy. Crazy is just used so much. It's like any other word now. It's losing its potency, like racist and phobic of any sort. So crazy, conspiracy theorists. It's just becoming kind of like, yeah. You're just like, wow. It's overplayed. Everything's just overplayed. Okay. An explainer on the controversial beliefs Gaines may have held. So this is by Isha Thorpe. Is this August 8th, 2016? In 2014, a Nevada rancher named Cliven Bundy. We remember hearing about Cliven. I didn't pay attention to this Cliven Bundy stuff, so I'll have to probably circle back to this too. So Cliven Bundy led an armed militia in a standoff against federal rangers who, acting on a court order, had begun removing cattle that were illegally grazing on public land. Protesters with rifles blocked a highway and surrounded the agents on the ranch, preparing for battle. Not only did the police decide to back down, but Bundy held a press conference the next day calling the standoff a success. On August 1st, 2016, a Maryland resident named Korryn Gaines refused to open her apartment door for police, who, acting on a court order, were there to serve her a warrant for failing to appear in court. After an hours-long standoff, police kicked down Gaines' door and unalived her and shot her 5-year-old son. Cliven Bundy, 70 years old, had been ignoring federal orders to remove his cows since 1993 and owed the government over $1 million in fees. Gaines, 23, was arrested at a traffic stop in March, but police bust down her door 5 months later. Fox News and other Bundy supporters called him a patriot for exercising his rights, and the New York Times headline lauded him as defiant. Gaines had been called crazy and is being blamed for her own death. And I want to stop right there, and I want to tell you guys something. I want to just stop for a minute. I do have a problem with this kind of narrative. And I do know that racism is a thing. We never want to act like it's not, okay? It's just not the people that we think, we thought. We're starting to see where all this is fomenting the racial war, who is behind it. And a lot of people fell for this, and a lot of people need to repent. But I used to be a part of the pro-life movement. When I say a part of it, I mean I was a part of a group. You know what I mean? And it was like a group, and you had leadership, and people were starting to form like local chapters of this particular, I won't name the name of the group. But when this happened, I was on social media and I made a comment that even at the time I thought this was very extreme, and I had a real problem with what I did hear of this incident. And I did express it. Now, all of my pro-life friends, not all of them, but like a few of the men, now these were white men, they went into the comment and they did blame Korryn for her own death. That was weird to me. I was like surprised. I'm like, you are like, I was like, this is coming from you and you and you. It was like, at least I can remember at least 2 or 3 men, white men, that said that she was at fault. And I like went back and forth with one guy. I was like asking him, like, how could you say that? And I think at the time they were describing that they had come in and she was behind, backed up against a wall or something. It was one narrative, in her kitchen, and they came in. And I was like, how can you justify someone coming into someone's house and backing them up in a corner? And these men were persistent with telling me that they felt it was her own fault. She resisted. They had every excuse, but they blamed her. So I just want to let you all know that that was something that really, like that's part of the church hurt. Like, I talked about the church hurt. I don't want to make this about me, but I'm just saying that kind of like, it put a real bad, like it put some distance between me and a few people in that movement. Because I just couldn't imagine that anybody would think that was okay. And I even said, like, what about her 5-year-old son? They didn't care. They were like, well, that's just like, like war. That's like, what do they call it? Collateral damage. She should have thought about that. It was all her fault. Everything was her fault. So I'm just saying, like, what do you all think? Sean's saying, to be fair, they did have a warrant. I do get that they had a warrant. But, like, they backed her up in her own apartment. I'm just saying, like, it just doesn't make sense to me why a 5-year-old would end up being shot and why she's not alive. At 23 years old, not alive because of traffic stops. I don't know. This is just, it doesn't make sense to me. And I get that she, I'm not saying she was perfect, but it's just something is weird. I don't know. I have to really think about this one. I'm going to probably end up going into this one a little bit more because I'm just reading from, I kicked the wiki and this is from Revolt. But you already know Revolt has a bias to it. I'd like to see more, in terms of like objective, like, or both sides of whatever. But this definitely needs to be looked into a bit more. It's something to it. Okay, but anyway, let me go on. So, what's the difference between Bundy and Gaines? What they have in common is just as important. Both Gaines and Bundy allegedly believed in the concept of sovereign law. The FBI describes the sovereign citizen movement thusly. Now, this is the FBI. The FBI is explaining this, okay? So keep that in mind. Sovereign citizens are anti-government extremists who believe that even though they physically reside in this country, they are separate or sovereign from the United States. As a result, they believe they don't have to answer to any government authority, including courts, taxing entities that are headquartered in Puerto Rico that have nothing to do with... I digress. Motor vehicle departments. Have you ever been to the California DMV? You'll want to say you're sovereign too. Okay, anyway. Or law enforcement. What law is being enforced? Okay. That's the FBI. Now, they are further explaining what this sovereign citizen movement is. Other definitions say that sovereign citizens decide which laws to follow and which authoritative bodies to recognize. In Bundy's case, he decided that he did not have to obey the federal governmental agency, the Bureau of Land Management. He reasoned he has a preemptive right because his Mormon ancestors worked the land decades before the BLM was established. Wait a minute. Their acronym is BLM. Do you guys feel like we're being punked right now? Okay, so the Bureau of Land Management is BLM. Something ain't clean in the buttermilk, people. I have alarm bells going off everywhere. So the federal agency governmental called the Bureau of Land Management, or BLM, was established after his Mormon ancestors worked the land. Boy, I'd love to hear what Kev Gills would say about that. Okay, so in a news conference, Bundy said, "I'll be damned if I'm going to honor," that might be how he sounds, right? "I'll be damned if I'm going to honor a federal court that has no jurisdiction or authority or arresting power over we the people." All right, Bundy. A Cliven Bundy supporter and militia member. In Gaines' case, her March traffic stop was allegedly because her car had cardboard signs instead of license plates. One read, "Free Traveler." The other read, "Any government official who compromises this pursuit to happiness and right to travel will be held criminally responsible and fined, and this is a natural right and freedom." Gaines filmed the traffic stop and her arrest and posted the video with this caption: "Constitutional law is the only true law. In order to be granted the role as law enforcement, you must take an oath to uphold the Constitution and be granted a DOO, delegation of authority order. The police are not law enforcement. They are policy enforcers and operate outside of the laws of the Constitution, which would make them organized criminals. They enforce corporate law to generate revenue, in other words, to get money. However, in this case, they know that I know this, and this is them making trouble with not a true form of the law. But so many of us have bended to their criminal ways. Not me. So again, what's the difference between Bundy and Gaines? For one, the Bundy family is still alive to stand by their beliefs. Cliven's son, Amon, orchestrated his own standoff with police in January after seizing a government building in Oregon. Gaines' son is just 5 and is recovering from a gunshot wound inflicted by police. The movement for Black Lives outlines its demands in a formal platform. For 2, it's in the language history will use to define them. I don't know, this is reading a little weird for me, sorry. Was Gaines radical or empowered? Disobedient or defiant? Informed or crazy? Bundy was called a patriot and a leader and had the support of politicians like Senator Rand Paul. Also, there's this. How is it that Bundy organized over 100 people in a tactical standoff and beat the feds? But Gaines, one woman in her own apartment, scared the police so much they shot first. So that was the question. What do you think about that? That's all I wanted to read for now about this incident. What are you all thinking? Let me go back through the chat. This one is difficult to... this is a weird one. Molly said, when BLM came out, I thought they were talking about the Bureau of Land Management. Oh, that's funny. Sean said, Bureau Land Matters. Trash matters. Oh my gosh. Alan says, officers will typically not seek you out in response to a bench warrant. Your name will be entered into a database that all officers can access. That's interesting, Alan. I don't know how a lot of this works, but this is the kind of stuff I want us to get into. And I wanted to kick off our medicinal law school and talk about this case. And I'd like for us to get into this a little more. So I'm going to think about how I want to kind of look at some of the wording in which they use for this narrative and see how it lines up with the Constitution and what you're saying, Alan, how officers will typically not seek you out. And again, we have to remember they're saying that these are traffic stops. I'm not trying to say that, you should go out here and break traffic laws. But I guess it's hard for me to, and I got to work on this. I really do. Something just is not sitting well with this. Hello, Delana. Did I say it right? Delana, where? They unalived Lavoy Finicum. Bundy was next. That's why all the ranchers rallied on horses and stood between BLM and the Patriots, Bundy's crew. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. I want to look into that Bundy situation as well. So I just yeah. Oh my gosh, Molly said Professor Jen can't throw tips. Thank you for even just the thought, Molly. I appreciate it. I really do. You're so sweet. I'll set something up as I'm building this channel. Okay, I'll put this. If anybody does if you want to tip me or anything, I was thinking maybe I'll do a book thing, maybe a book, books that I want to get maybe on Amazon. But until then, you could do this. Okay, I'll just put it in the chat. Just 1 minute. But I'm putting it in the chat as my other account because me and the accounts. And since I'm on a new thing here, I'm going to learn how to do adding the other things in, okay? So if anybody wants to do a little tip or anything, I'll put it in the chat here. And all tips and things are appreciated. But you can do it this way. Right there, I put it in as Negrescence Inquirer. That's another channel I've had to have. So, Amy says, have you looked into the Buy Me a Coffee thing? I've heard of that. Yeah, I'll have to look into it. I'll work on I'll be, working on a few things. But if you want to, it's always appreciated. You all have been so sweet to me, and I just like to put any giftings, I like to put it into developing better stuff. So I want to increase my production quality. So eventually I want to get better equipment. So right now I'm using a few pieces, of equipment again, like my microphone, to make sure the sound quality is good. And I have an external camera, so it might be just a tad better. But I'd like to get a better camera eventually. We work on these things, one step at a time. But thank you all again for joining me, my first time using OBS, and I will figure the OBS out. My daughter again was giving me a whole lesson. So we will get it together, okay? So I want to thank you. I'm going to end the stream now. So this will be our first little law discussion. So we know that there's the sovereign citizenship issue with this unfortunate tragedy that happened to this young woman. And the thing about the young woman, I remember conversations at the time where people were saying she may have been a part, they were trying to pin it on different groups. But as you can see, it wasn't really clear if she was a part of an official group. But I did hear on different, maybe radio or whatever, they were saying that she was a part of a group and they were really egging her on. So whoever the friends were that were watching the live stream, maybe they all were sovereign, I don't know, sovereign or believed in sovereignty, obviously. So people were critical that she was a woman, vulnerable with a child. And she had no fear. To me, that's how I the thing about it, you all have to admit, there are some people that they may look like they're soft and whatever, harmless, but if they're backed in a corner, they're not so harmless. And people are surprised sometimes because certain people might just be fearless. So this woman, she appeared to be fearless and believed what she was doing, believed in this sovereignty and freedom, and she was willing to go to the end for her freedom. Not a lot of people are like that. I mean, that's what struck me about her story. Without knowing all the details, that's what I discerned, is that this was a fearless woman. And she was going to put herself right there and stand for what she believed in. I didn't see her as a bad person. And that's the thing that I it's unfortunate that she didn't have a team of people kind of upholding and helping her. She was, I don't know. It just, not that would have been great to have a militia in Baltimore, but maybe you need it come on, look at this. Listen, I'm not saying anything, you guys. Don't try to put anything in my mouth. But I'm just saying that this is something that we are faced with in terms of a question of how much will I stand for freedom? How much? And this woman, she went the whole way. She grabbed the Mossberg and said hello to my Lord. I never heard of a Mossberg, so that was when I read that, I was like, okay. I feel like we're being trolled in every narrative. I read narratives now and I'm like, are you kidding? Oh, by the way, before I get off, how long have I been on? An hour? Okay. There's a lot going on Twitter right now. Elon Musk has basically trolled Dr. Fauci. And he says that his pronouns are, so crazy. He says, my pronouns are prosecute Fauci. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. commented right under that and gave him kudos and thanked him for not, being a part of the propaganda, but looking beyond the propaganda. So I thought that was interesting that these new Twitter files are going to deal with Fauci and what happened with this whole pandemic. So this will be interesting. And if you all have time, I believe at 8 o'clock, there will be another Twitter Spaces. I think that, I forget the guy, Josh, maybe? He is going to host it. And they're going to talk about this Dr. Fauci stuff. So if you want to listen in, I will be listening in. So it is Twitter Spaces. If you look up, I guess look it up, you'll see it. It's the Twitter files. So it's, I think, number 4. So check it out if you want. And let me see, another thing, I'm just looking at something that's interesting just an hour ago, because I've been looking into the Brazilian election also. That's been interesting because there was something that Elon Musk said confirming that something with their election was tampered with from the big tech platform of Twitter. So Agent J says Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro has confirmed, and they call Jair Bolsonaro, they call him Tropical Trump. So he has confirmed that he is the supreme chief of the armed forces, and they will back the Brazilian citizens. Uh-oh, it's going down in Brazil, you all. It's going down. Oh boy. Oh boy, the people are out in their green and yellow. They're out in the streets, y'all. So I need to look into, I told you I'm interested in this Brazilian stuff too. Okay, so something's up, everybody. And let me retweet this so I'll remember. It kind of bookmarks it for me when I retweet it. Okay, so I'm going to head out now in this stream. Thank you for coming by on the backup channel. Another classroom, we'll call it. This is just the other classroom. That's all. We don't have to keep saying backup channels, right? Let's see. Amy, what are you saying before I get out? Yes, Molly, that's what they are afraid of, like the grasshopper and the ants from the movie. We are the plan. I like that. So that's where I'll end off. Thank you, Amy. All right, so take care, everybody. Blessings, and I love you. Christine, you're welcome. You have a good night. Love you all, Chatmosphere. And check you out later, okay? Bye-bye.